Okay, so just to add to that last point, and Michelle and I were talking offline about how similar it is with the United States. I think what makes Turkish case a bit more complicated is, again, our geography. I mean, unlike the U.S., we have countries nearby who do want to influence our domestic affairs, because Turkey's a pretty important country geographically. Even if we weren't here, it would be another nation. It would still be important. And another thing, Islam, I think, complicates things too. And I can't really downplay that. I do think that it is a very complicated element of our identity formation. So that is really, I think, all I got to say for negative effects. It's just this being in a state of total and constant confusion.
Well, this is a more modern question, but I think it's really important, because as we've been in Turkey as teachers, we've really felt how important Atatürk is, and it kind of stems back to what you're talking about national identity, and how being a Turk is a national identity, but you have all these other identities too. So please describe the importance of Atatürk to you.
To me?
Yeah, to you personally.
Sure. I'm very lucky in a sense that I have family members. Okay. I don't even know how to begin to answer this question. Simplest answer is that had it not been for Atatürk, I would not be here today. He was, first of all, a military commander, a very brilliant one that got rid of foreign occupation, that was literally carving up Turkey at the end of World War I.
And we've learned about that with the Treaty of Versailles. So just think about that.
Exactly. And there's Treaty of Lausanne. And actually, if you go back to the question about Turkish identity, and I had this conversation with a number of our other teachers too, I think that many nations, especially older nations, have somewhere in their history this thing that induces trauma, this traumatic experience that I think helps to some extent define our worldview. For that, it was a treaty that was imposed on Turks at the end of World War I, when we were completely broken apart and under occupation. And this treaty, called Treaty of Sèvres, it's Sevres, mandated that Turkish nation be relegated only to a very small interior part of the country, whereas the southeastern Turkey today would be divided up between Italians and French, northeast would be given to Russians, western Turkey would be given to Greeks, and Istanbul would be a city that would be controlled by different powers, the way that Berlin was at the end of World War II. So this was the idea that was imposed on Turkey, and then because we won our War of Independence, we got to draw our own borders, essentially. So that separation anxiety, I think, is a very traumatic experience, and a lot of Turkish conspiracy theories actually still stem from that. Oh, they're trying to break us apart. That is the number one fear in Turkish identity, right? And Atatürk was really the person who made sure that that didn't happen back in the day, and we could sign a treaty that gave us our current borders. So without him, again, I wouldn't be here. Secondly, without him, I would not be here as a Turkish woman. Because if you look at other Muslim nations, especially within this geography, women's role is basically absent from public space, right? Women don't necessarily get a good education. They don't get to travel. They don't get to do anything but be their husband's subject. And what Atatürk did was he had a vision to make Turkey a modern and elevated society. So he adopted certain European civil codes, and that's another thing. Like what Atatürk brought is very important, and that's that we have a civic code in Turkey. We have rule of law, which is sometimes questionable, unfortunately. That's still growing pains. We're only like a 90-year-old country right now, so we're still growing.
Think about that. 90 years old. That's
90
crazy.
years old, on top of all this history.
Yeah.
I mean, we have a rich history, but as a modern nation, we've only been in existence for 90 plus years. But what Atatürk brought was a civic code, and a code that gave women the right to vote, to be elected, to basically be independent. And we got that right before many European nations.
Mm-hmm.
So it was truly revolutionary.
And women are equal in the Constitution, which
Absolutely.
doesn't even exist in America.
I mean, we're equal in Constitution, we're equal in the civic code.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think it's the civic code that separates Turkey from our other predominantly Muslim nations. And Turkish Republic is a secular republic as protected in our constitution. The way we define our secularism is very Turkish, hence very complicated. But when you hear Turkey being referred to as a Muslim nation, I want everybody to remember that, yeah, that might be the majority faith in Turkey, but it's not our state religion.
Mm-hmm.
Like, our state does not have a religion.
Got it.
So that's another note. But Atatürk basically helped us become who we are. This unique, secular, although in its own way, secular, predominantly Muslim, but modern, with men and women having the same rights republic. So for that, he's tremendously important. And I would recommend everybody to read about Atatürk's principles, because they've been, so the way religion gets politicized by certain people in Turkey, I think Atatürk's image was also politicized, and a lot of people actually strayed from his true message. And his true message is that Turkish is not an ethnic identity. It basically is the willingness is sharing a common history and willingness to continue existing together, right?
Yep.
And his state principle says states should intervene when private sector cannot meet certain needs. You know, like very pure, very universal principles that have been politicized and really terribly interpreted. Mm-hmm. So anyway, that's all I have to say. Atatürk was a great leader, great vision, perfect, amazing. So I really, really am indebted to him.
That is great. I think that's really good explanation of what we've been feeling while we're here. You know,
Good. I'm glad to hear that.
Mm-hmm.
Glad to hear that.
Anything else you want to say to the kids? Oh, can I ask where were you educated again in college?
Oh, for undergrad, I went to George Washington University in D.C. and I did my master's at Georgetown.
Okay.
So I've been in D.C.
Okay. So we have a lot of kids. That's the reason why I asked. We have a lot of kids who apply to those
Go
places.
to school, yay!
Yeah. Anything else? Oh, is that what you want to tell the kids? Go to school. I'm just kidding.
I want to say, okay, so I think that through my own education over the years, I would always encourage everybody to question everything you read or you hear. But I'm not trying to make you all suspicious. I just want you to make sure that you're inquisitive and you're analytical. Because, I mean, anybody can write a book now. Anybody can write whatever online, and you read all these things, and it's not necessarily the truth. So, and truth is never that easy to reach. So just be open-minded and try to break your own prejudices and stereotypes, because there are always so many sides to one story. Mm-hmm. That's my message.
All right.
All right.
Thank you so much.
My pleasure.